Okay, ready, Mr. President?
Breaking it. I'm gonna bring everything I want.
We're ready to start? Okay,
That's awesome.
I'd like to call the meeting to order of December 19th, 2022 Boards of Directors regular meeting. And I'll lead the pledge and Mike, you do the invitation.
Yes, sir.
You stand, follow me, place your hand on your heart.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, if you'd all join in reflection with me. As we are in the holiday season, please watch over our military and first responders who will not be able to be with their families this season. Will not be able to be with their families during this time. Guide our decisions this evening as we take actions to benefit all. See that everyone gets what they want on their Christmas lists, especially my grandchildren, and watch over the Rams in frigid Green Bay this evening. Amen.
Wow. You're really asking the big guy upstairs for some help.
I'm plugging for everybody tonight.
Matt, do the roll call, please.
Yes, Director Brett Eccles,
Here.
Director Arthur Perry.
Here.
Secretary Arlene Schaefer,
Here.
Vice President Mike Schaefer,
Here.
President Robert Uten.
Here. Have there been any late communications?
No, Mr. President,
And there's no hands raised?
not that I see.
And I don't believe we have any ceremonial matters or presentations. Do we have any public? No one has turned in a slip. Do we have any public on the meeting that, no hands raised? Okay, we'll go on to the consent calendar. Do any of the directors wish to pull an item for further discussion? Or do I have a motion?
Move for approval.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I don't believe we have a public hearing. We'll go on then to item number 1. Boards of Directors nominations and appointments.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. This is the time of year where the board nominates the new president for the next 2 years, as well as a vice president and secretary, as well as nominating to the other 2 committees that you sit on, which would be the OC Sanitation District Board, as well as the SARFA Board.
Question before we go on. So you've got also listed vice secretary.
Yes, we did add one more position on there for vice secretary. We ran into an incident earlier this year where the secretary was out and unable to sign documents that were approved at the board meeting. So we would like to have someone in the interim to be able to stand in for that.
Ready for nominations yet?
Yes, sir.
I nominate Mike Schaefer as the president.
Do we start with president?
Yeah, we usually
Do we start with president?
Yeah.
The pleasure of the board.
I move that we nominate, what's his name?
Mike Schaefer.
We just had a.
Well, we
motion.
just had a
Already
nomination for
made a
Mike
motion.
Shea. Turn your hearing aids up.
Art just made a motion.
Oh, he did? I'll second it.
Do we have any substitute motions or? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. I've got to get to that thing so I can read it. The next item on the agenda. Oh,
You have to go vice president.
Vice president, secretary.
I got to get on the right. Okay, that looks a little better. Do I have any nominations for vice president?
Yeah, I'll nominate Arlene Schaefer as vice president.
I'll second the motion.
Oh, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? It's unanimous. The next nomination is for secretary.
I'll nominate Art Perry as secretary.
I'll second it.
All in,
Bob might consider that myself.
What, pardon?
So you would consider being secretary.
Oh, thanks.
I'll do it with open heart.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The next item is for vice secretary.
Nominate Bob Wooten as vice secretary.
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. The next item is the Orange County Sand District Boards of Directors, board member plus alternate.
I'll nominate Bob Wooten to continue working with the Orange County Sand District.
Do I have a second or a
Oh, I'll
substitute
second that.
motion?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'll nominate Art Perry as the alternate to the OCSD Board of Directors.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The nomination for the Santa Ana River Flood Protection Agency Board Member.
I'll nominate Bob.
Already the main
No.
member.
Yeah, I would rather not be that board member, but
You rather not do that?
He already is our representative.
Oh,
We already did that.
well, the Santa Ana River Flood
Oh, this
Protection
is
Agency.
Orange County Sand District.
No, we did
this is
that.
the one
No,
you've
but
been
this-
on.
Then the alternate, I have to do the alternate.
We just did that for Bob. Or for you.
Oh, you, no, was that for me? Okay, that was for me. Okay. I thought it was Sarfa.
Okay, we're doing the Santa Ana River Flood Protection Agency Board Member.
I'll nominate Art Perry to continue as the board member
Mhm.
for SARFA.
I'll
Only
second
like
it.
2 years left, I think. It should be ending. Open up the dam. I think it's going to be 2026, so it's a short period.
Is this a one-year term,
It's a 2-year term.
two-year term? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And then we need to have an alternate to the Santa Ana River Flood Protection Agency.
Are you the current alternate?
Yeah,
Yes.
he's the current alternate. He's been in that, like 2 meetings. The ones 2 meetings I missed.
Who has been the alternate
Bob,
before?
Bob.
So do you want to do it again? As
Oh,
an
I
alternate?
will do it.
I'll nominate Bob Wooten to do that, continue.
I move we have Bob, second, whatever.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let's see, the board members may participate. Do we have any other? You're allowed. I don't believe there's any other boards that we need to appoint people to, where they'd probably be listed. So we'll go on to item number 2, which is receive and file the annual comprehensive financial report.
I have a before you move on, I have a question. Does he continue as president during this?
I just asked the same question.
Normally the newly elected president takes over.
To switch, you switch seats.
I'm not trying to usurp your authority, but you're out of here.
I'd like a warm seat.
Mike came early to warm it for you.
Oh, now you're gonna.
No, we're not.
That's what.
This evening, I think we can keep our seats the way they are.
Yeah.
But you can,
You guys switch.
Do I need to switch? We can just sit here.
You can stay where you are, but
But.
Your positions are now
President Schaefer now chairs the meeting.
I was just gonna do it so that he could, get a flavor for it. Okay, Mike, take over.
First of all, I just want to take a moment and thank President Newton for his leadership for the last 2 years. You are someone to look up to, and thank you for your service to the board for the last 2 years.
I think that's
Exemplary service.
because I'm taller than you.
Well, everybody's taller than me.
And for his knowledge of the system and working with Orange County Sand is really valuable.
Absolutely. So thank you, Bob.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it. It's fun. I was very pleased to get reelected, so that was a possibility.
What percentage did you get?
Very high percentage.
57.2.
And enough. Okay, we'll go on to receive and file well, no.
Thank you, Bob. All right, so we're on general manager's reports, item 2, receive and file the annual annual comprehensive financial report. And I assume Caitlin's going to make that presentation?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Caitlin will start us off and by introducing our auditor and he will be giving the staff report. So thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. President and members of the board. In front of you is the annual comprehensive financial report for fiscal year 2021-22, compiled after completion of the audit. Nigro and Nigro PC audit firm has issued an unmodified or a clean opinion for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2022 audit. Some of the financial highlights during the fiscal year are as follows. Overall, the district net position increased 2.48%, which is approximately 1.5 million as a result of the year's operations. Operating revenues increased by 3.4% from the prior year, mainly due to increases in trash assessment revenue as a result of a rate increase and from COVID-19 grant funding. Operating expenses before depreciation expense decreased by 12.71% from prior year due to decreases in recycling and disposal charges, as well as other general and administrative costs. Today we have Mr. Paul Kmark from partner of the audit firm Nigro PC. He's here to go over the audit and answer any questions you may have.
Thank you,
Okay.
Caitlin. Yeah, are there questions for Mr. Kmark or for Caitlin from any of the board members?
We would like to hear from him, would we?
Oh, sure. Yeah, Caitlin, Mr. Kmark, welcome to our meeting this evening.
Thank you very much, members of the board. It's good to meet many of you at the CSDA conference over the summer. So I did have a chance to meet you in person. But I'm here tonight to present to you the results of the June 30th, 2022 financial statements for the district as the year came to end. If I may ask that I may share my screen to be able to give you a presentation really quick.
You are co-hosted, Paul, so go ahead.
Thank you. And share. There we go. All right, can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
We're good.
We're good, great, okay. This is our opinion page, starting off with the financial statements. We're giving you our opinion on the overall presentation of those financial statements. The new aspect of the opinion letter from the auditor is now it starts with the opinion. In prior years, it used to be buried 3 or 4 paragraphs down. We actually start with our opinion first now as we talk about this. And we have audited the accompanying financial statements of the Costa Mesa Sanitary District, which comprise the balance sheets as of June 30th, 2022, and the related statements of revenues, changes in net position and cash flows for the year end ended in related notes to the financial statements as listed in the table of contents. It is in our opinion the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects the financial position of the district as of June 30th, 2022, and the respective changes in its financial position and cash flows for the year end in accordance with accounting principles generally accept the United States of America. As we discussed earlier, Caitlin notified you that this is an unmodified opinion. It is materially correct to your position at the end of June 30th, 2022. Then we go on to talk about our basis for the opinion, how we came to that, its responsibilities of management. This is your financial statements. We're just here to perform the auditing tasks over those, but these are your financial statements. The responsibilities of the audit of the financial statements, how we undertake those responsibilities, and an interesting new bullet here that's come out to conclude whether, in our judgment, there are conditions or events considered in the aggregate that rise to substantial doubt about the district's ability to continue as a going concern for a reasonable period of time, which they discuss as 12 months in time. So we do believe that you have enough financial reserves and that you are a monopoly as a government serving a certain service area that you will continue and will not be considered a going concern. So it's just interesting they're asking us to do that now. Required supplementary information as well as other supplementary information, how we combine your financial statements and other information in the ACFR, some prior year comparative. And we're doing this in accordance with government auditing standards as you do receive property tax revenue, governmental funding. So from that, I would like to start with the financial statements. Now, when we prepare these financial statements for you in our report here, we tried to condense the information, keep the information consistent, not leave a lot of space and everything like that. I hope you like the presentation of how the numbers is put together in this report. We tried to not leave a lot of open space as we've seen in prior periods. So when we look at this information, we do like to do it comparatively. So when we're looking at June 30th, 2022, we'd like to show you where you've been to where you are now in regards to that, to show you a comparative basis. Or really, it's hard to talk about it saying, hey, this is just all we made during the year. It's good to show a comparison there. So between the two periods, their rate increase, of course, we see the increase 5.9, 5.5, your trash assessments, wastewater assessments also increased there. Pretty standard across for permits and inspection fees during the period. Little less in connection fees, but then again, overall other services overall 128 to 122. So almost 12 million in operating revenues during the period there versus almost 11.6 in the prior year. So very comparative in regards to solid waste disposal, some little decrease there in wastewater recycling, general administrative hanging in there, big decrease there overall because of for the pension. We saw a decrease in the overall expenditures for the pension because CalPERS actually made some money in the year. So, and materials and services. So we're going from 10.3 in expenses to 9.0 in expenses, million. So giving us 1.2 in the prior year, as we say, you know, our operating income before depreciation. So cash out, are you covering in operations what you have? This is your rate. This is what you're charging. This is what your operating expenses are, things that you have control of overall. Same thing. So this one, almost a $3 million positive there during this fiscal year. We take out depreciation expense, giving us an operating, oops, sorry, too fast here. Operating income or loss during the period there. So we're at a positive even with depreciation expense. Then we move down here for non-operating revenues. Property taxes, we would see that going increase, the value of homes, even under Prop 13, the 2%, we would anticipate that would increase between the two periods there. Investment earnings, got to put this in perspective. Remember what was going on at June 30th. The market was bearing 3% at that point in time. The investments in your portfolio and in LAIF, your portfolio that you had, earning you about 1%, okay? If you would have liquidated your entire $20 million portfolio, the type of investments that you were in, because you had purchased it earlier in the period, the market was bearing 3%, you were 1%. So you're going to have a fair market valuation change there because you would pay somebody to take over those investments. It's a paper loss, but because these are fair value financial statements, we have to show it as a negative. But it doesn't mean that your portfolio isn't good. As those things start maturing, you're now able to buy 3, 4, and starting in January, we're all going to be able to buy a 5% CD personally at our banks, just because of the raises that we've seen from the Fed going up in a rising interest rate market. So nothing really, it is what it is. That's how it's calculated from your investment portfolio, but I wouldn't pay too much attention. It's a paper loss, not an actual loss during the period. Some rental income overall, grant revenue coming in, some COVID relief there, and sale of some capital assets, a sale of a vehicle, I believe, and other non-operating revenues. So we posted in here, non-operating, even with the loss, a 353 positive, 615 in the prior year. So change in net position overall, 1.5 there overall after depreciation, after everything. So adding to your reserves, 1.5 million from 63 going to 64.8. So good year overall, adding to your reserves overall. We're going to go back here to the position statement. Actually, we could take a quick look here. If you look in cash, that's a good indicator here. What did we do? Net cash used in investment activities. You spent 2.2 million here on new fixed assets during the year. Okay. And then the change in investments, which were sold to be able to pay for some of those investment earnings overall. So we did have a decrease in cash here of about $1 million because of this acquisition and construction of your capital assets, your infrastructure overall. When we come back here to the position statement, so at June 30th, what did we have? We can see the reduction there of about $1 million in cash. Your investment portfolio actually went up because you used some of that cash to move it into your investment portfolio. Accrued interest, other small assets here. So 21.4 in current assets versus 21.3. We can see here the increase in capital assets, this big increase right here, some of the construction that you're doing, items 7.2 versus 5.8. And then we look here, we have a few, your net pension, you have a net OPEB asset as well as a net pension asset. You've changed it from a liability down here from a net pension liability to a net pension asset because of the investment earnings and the CalPERS and your OPEB portfolio overall, plus your contributions in there. So we've changed these from being a liability. Now they're an asset this year. So moving down, had some bills to pay at the end of the year, 1.5 million, some other deposits, and really low in liabilities here overall with moving that up to a pension asset. So your net investment in capital assets, 44 million versus your unrestricted or your reserve balance, 20 million overall there. So any questions how the numbers came to rest there? Very clean, very concise during the period there.
I have a question. Mike.
Yes, sir.
What is our total unfunded liabilities at this time? You know?
Well, both of your liabilities had switched here to net a pension aspect in regards to your unfunded liability for your pension and your OPEB from the extra contributions that you've made in there. So that switched, but this one right here, your pension asset, remember, we're 1 year behind because the CalPERS has to have their numbers audited now. So it takes them a period of time. So by the time we're ready to do the audit, they're not even done with their 2022 audit. They're not going to be done with their 2022 audit until about February of 2023. So this is a 2021 numbers. And at the end of June 30th, 2021, CalPERS had a 22% gain on their portfolio. So they made 22%. So they had to spread that out to all the member agencies. Unfortunately, at the end of 2022, we know they almost had a 22% loss. So this asset may flip back to a liability position next year. We won't know that until February once they're done with their audit, but we'll be able to calculate that for you. So at this point in time, both of your unfunded obligations here, you're in an asset position for your other post-employment benefits and your pension asset at this point in time. So that's really good. I mean, I can't say I've seen a better district out there with no bond or debt or loan fundings. You have no debt, plus your two unfunded liabilities. They're in a positive position now as assets. So extraordinary.
Arlene, you had a question?
I just wanted to comment that I would like to congratulate all of us in the sanitary district, whether it be board members or staff, that we have been so careful not to okay anything that we didn't budget for, that we knew we didn't have the funds for. And I think this shows up by this whole report. That's all.
Mr. Kmark, anything else?
That's about it. That's how the numbers came to rest. I mean, I haven't been able to give a better report than this to any of my clients this year. So I do have to say, very good operations overall. We tested the internal controls, segregation of duties, walkthroughs of those procedures, came to see that, things are working very well throughout the whole fiscal year as we stratify our samples during that period. The numbers came to rest really good for you this year. in regards to your overall, operations, as well as meeting some of your long-term obligations that have been now turned into assets. So really good.
Thank you for your opinion. Caitlin, anything else to add?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Mark Davis, and I think you're with us, aren't you, Mark?
I'm here, yes.
Anything to contribute, or are you good?
I'm good. Nothing else to add.
Okay, thank you. Then we will take this, receive and file. Appreciate the hard work on our finance department's part and our general manager and everybody else.
It's mostly the finance department. Yes.
Yeah, but
Your direction.
somehow you're connected to that too, so I think we'll give you some credit. Any other questions from any board members? Thank you. Thanks for the Christmas present, Mr. Kmark. We really do appreciate it. And Caitlin, thank you for your hard work and your staff. Okay, we'll move on to item 3. Thank you again for your contributions. Move to
Merry
item,
Christmas, Happy New Year to you all. Hope to see you in Monterey in August. So take care.
no doubt, no doubt. Thank you. Item 3, consider approving the 2023 meeting in office closure calendar, which we all have a copy of, I believe.
Move for approval.
Questions on that before we take a final?
Is there anything different that we should be aware of?
Just the 2 meetings, the one in August, so that the board can attend the CSCA annual conference as per usual. And then the December meeting date, we move it up 1 week because of the Christmas holiday.
To the 18th,
Correct.
like we did this year.
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion to approve the meeting and office closure calendar for 2023 is unanimous. Okay, item 4, consider adopting ordinance number 135, amending the operations code pertaining to term limitation for trash and recycling contracts. Scott?
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a bit of a cleanup on our operations code that was actually brought to our attention by our district council. As you know, for the past year, we've been negotiating a contract with CR&R. The board has reviewed several times those proposed amendments to the contract. And one of the terms of the contract is the board would have the consideration of extending that 10-year contract to beyond 10 years to 15 or 20 years. If you approve that amendment, it would be in conflict with our operations code. So that's why we have brought this proposed ordinance to you to allow the board to approve an agreement with your solid waste franchise hauler to approve a contract that extends beyond 10 years. So it's just more of a cleanup in our operations code. So we're looking for adoption.
That's what we discussed with the study session.
Yes, that's correct.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. So under the current operations code, so back when the initial contract was approved in 2018, how did that fly? Because it was 10 years plus 2 automatic 5-year renewals.
Yeah, it was an error on our part. We didn't
Oh.
catch it. So it was, again, caught by our district council.
So, okay, so technically back in 2018, this needed to be changed back
Yes,
then.
correct.
Too. So all we're doing is changing the code that says whether it's the new contract will be mutually agreed.
It'll allow you to extend the contract beyond 10 years, is basically what it'll allow you to do.
If the board chose, or you could deny it based
Correct.
on the, okay, thank you.
All right.
Mr. President, if I could just add.
Yes,
that
sir. Please.
If there is a provision in the contract that makes any part of it invalid, we always put the severability clause in, so it would, the part that is valid continues and is lawful. And it's just, the court would sever the part that, so 10 years from that one being adopted, that if anyone brought that up, that would have been, okay, we have to fix that.
Just so that I'm clear in my mind, this ordinance is needed before we can approve the amendments.
Correct.
Unequivocally, I mean, that we have to do that, right?
Right, because we have the 2018 agreement in place. Yes.
But, sorry, just as a follow-up, Alan, to that, I just want to understand what you just said right there. I mean, these contracts have severability clauses, obviously, but being that the error was made in 2018, so you're saying someone could bring this up that the current contract is in violation of current code, but because the severability clause, it would wipe, can you just further elaborate on that?
That's correct. It would be possible for somebody to challenge it, and if they were to prevail on that cause in 2028, when it was time to extend, that could prevent the extension. But the contract is good for now because you're still within the 10 years and nothing was inconsistent.
So just again, assuming we didn't do any changes to the thing, come 2028, someone could say, hey, you can't extend it no matter what, if we didn't do this tonight. Okay.
That's a possibility. You can't predict how a court would see it, but that's the concern we want to fix.
Yeah.
And that's why we're doing the housekeeping measure.
Courts and lawyers and all that unpredictable, right? Thank you.
Okay, so we're looking for a motion to approve
Motion to approve.
ordinance number 135.
I'll second it.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion to adopt ordinance number 135 passes unanimously. Okay. All right, section F, engineers reports. Mr. Esker.
Good evening. Merry Christmas. The district engineers report that was submitted before you, there wasn't a lot of new progress this month because I'm in the process of gathering proposals, reviewing proposals. We're developing projects, and so there wasn't a whole lot. So I'm going to say, in the sake of brevity, I'll conclude my report, but I'm happy to answer any questions, or if there's any questions specific to my report or the CIP update, happy to answer that. Or if you need something else, happy to discuss it.
Questions? Go ahead.
Point of clarification, are we able to ask questions on all 4 items at this time?
No, I prefer to go one at a time if possible.
Okay, so we're on number 1. Got it.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
CIP report.
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha.
Any questions? CIP? All right, Mark, let's go to item 2, Instaform Technologies LLC.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. This project in situ, excuse me, let me back up and say, I'll be recommending to award a contract to Insituform Technology in the amount of $196,762, and I will be asking for about a 10% contingency. The work that was proposed and bid consists of rejuvenating the inside of 3 district pipelines that go underneath channels or other facilities. It basically comprises 2 inverted siphon facilities, and what we're going to do is remove the water, clean them out, repair holes, and install cast in place, cured in place structural liner. And we're doing that because the siphons that are included are in pretty bad shape, and we need to get them repaired. I'd rather do it now than if they're either have a catastrophic failure, or if maybe the defects get so large that we can't dewater them. That would be a bad thing. So the bid was, a bid was opened on December 1st in the amount of $196,762. It's under the engineer's estimate of $210,000. That engineer's estimate was based on the first phase of the 335 siphon rehab projects that was, I'm going to say bid about a year or 9 months ago. And so based on those projects and those bids, I believe that the engineer's estimate is very good. And I think that this is a great price, even though we got one bidder. So with that being said, I'm open to answering questions, but I would ask that you award a contract to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, Insituform Technologies LLC, in the amount of $196,762. And number 2, approve a 10% contingency in the amount of $19,676. That concludes my report.
So they were the only bidder.
Yes.
Any reason why we only had one bid?
I did talk to another contractor. They basically have so much work and they felt as though we had about a 6 to 8 week bidding period. They felt that wasn't enough considering all their other work. And so they declined to bid it. I'm going to say up to the last minute, they were planning to bid this work. Another contractor told me that our projects are pretty small and because they've got bigger projects to go after, those bigger projects and those other agencies are keeping them too busy to bid on our work. So I will make a side note by saying that RBH and I are talking about that and seeing how this next year we might be able to consolidate projects to maybe get them a little bit larger. So we'll see what we can do. But on this one, it is what it is.
Yeah, having small projects doesn't bother me. I mean, it seems to be less money. This is the first time that I can recall this company bidding on any of our work.
No,
That before?
they actually won the last siphon project and they've done lining projects for us before. They're basically a liner company.
Questions, Mark?
No, just,
Move approve.
I'll second it.
Wait, Arlene had a question.
I just wanted to say that when we talked about this before, you had indicated that you felt comfortable with them, that you knew what their work was like.
Yes, that is, and I've used in situ form here in this agency before on the previous siphon project. I think they were successful on one of the first liner projects that I was involved with here at this agency. And then when I was with Orange County Sanitation, I was involved in several projects that they were involved with over there at that agency.
Yeah, okay, I feel comfortable.
Move approve.
Thank you. I'll second it. Discussion? All those in favor?
I
Opposed? Motion to approve the contract with in situ form? Is that how you say it?
Hmm.
Passes unanimous.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Art.
When do you plan on starting the project?
We'll sign the paperwork tonight. We'll probably, depending on insurance and checking the insurance carrier, we'll give them notice to proceed. I'm going to say first week of January, and they'll probably start work early February sometime.
All right, item 3, Mark.
Okay. Item 3, this one is approve a sole source. Okay, approve, I will be asking you this evening to approve a sole source contract with West Coast Safety Incorporated for the purchase of 3 12-inch emergency hose reel systems in the amount not to exceed $700,000, including freight, delivery, and taxes. District staff is recommending sole source contract with West Coast Safety. They're located here in Orange County. But unfortunately, they're the only provider of this product in California, and I'm going to say along the entire West Coast. There is another vendor. They're located in the East Coast somewhere. I don't remember which state they are. There's actually 2 people here in California. In fact, they're both in Orange County. One is the manufacturer. They're in the city located in Orange, and they manufacture these trailers, and they put the hoses together and they wrap them on the reel and then deliver them to West Coast Safety. West Coast Safety, then I'll say repackages it and we'll have it delivered to our agency. And as you recall, in the November study session, I presented a presentation on the Eldon Emergency Bypass Project, and I showed a picture of a trailer and folks bringing the hose reels off those trailers. I'm happy to show you those photos again, or maybe part of that presentation if you'd like me to. But basically, we're buying 3 of those trailers, and they have reels and motors to deploy the hose. The hoses, I'm going to say, is about 2+ pounds per foot. So when you have 600 feet of hose, that's about over 1,000 pounds of weight. And so we need these devices in order to deploy the 12-inch hose, and we need 2 12-inch hoses to go from our Eldon pump station across the 55 over to the discharge point in front of the city hall over Costa Mesa near the fairground entrance. We would be buying also almost 8,000 feet of 12-inch hose. And the quote from West Coast Safety is $674,838 plus freight, which I'm estimating currently at $10,000. So when you add that all together, I'm asking for a not to exceed contract of 700,000. We will actually pay what the bottom line invoice would say up to that amount, but I think it'll be less. To provide you with some background information, I purchased a similar type of system at Orange County Sanitation about 6-7 years ago. West Coast Safety was the only bidder, and to provide this same similar style hose. Irvine Ranch also bought 3 trailers and a deployment trailer with 4 reels of hoses, just like Orange County. They have very, very similar, different connection fittings than ours, but they also bought them from West Coast Safety. And I guess I'm going to say that I'm concerned that if we bid, this vendor could come back with a higher price. That being said, the vendor has said that starting January, the manufacturer is going to come back and they're looking to raise their prices about 15%. That means about $80,000 on this particular order alone if we don't place the purchase order by the end of this month. However, I'll say that if the board chooses districts to bid this project, we will, but I don't know that we're going to get any better price than what we've received based on my experience. So with that, I will conclude my report, but before I do, I'll say, please consider approving a sole source contract to West Coast Safety Incorporated for the purchase of 3 12-inch emergency hose reel systems in the amount not to exceed $700,000, including freight, delivery, and taxes.
I can make the motion.
Brett's got a question. Go ahead.
I just have a couple questions. So Mark, there's only 2 suppliers of this in the US, one on the east, one on the west coast.
It appears to me that is the case. When I initially, I'll say, did a internet search on this particular type of system, I actually came up with 2 what I thought were vendors here in California, talked to our general manager about it, and decided to call that second firm. And that's when I realized, and after talking with them, they were the manufacturer who provides the units to West Coast Safety. So that kind of killed my thought that we might be able to bid this product. We still could, but I don't believe that the East Coast firm is going to be competitive, because how would they get these? They'd have to put these units on semi-tractor trailers, probably, I'm going to guess 2 of them, to get them delivered out here to California. So that's going to add more freight than what I would estimate the delivery from Fullerton or wherever West Coast Safety is based out of.
So
Fullerton, yeah.
so this company is charging 10 grand in freight. Have you reached out to the East Coast company to see?
No, I have not reached out to the East Coast company what their freight is. That freight of $10,000 is my estimate. Steve Cano, our wastewater superintendent, was obtaining an actual freight quote, so it could be less than that. This is my estimate. I wanted to make sure I included everything in the worst possible case. So I think it's going to be less than 10,000, but I don't know that till I get the final quote. So I will say the only number we need to, I'll say, negotiate, I was going to say haggle over, would be the freight, but because the rest of it looks pretty good.
But were you able to even contact the East Coast provider to say, hey, would you even be interested in bidding this?
I did not.
Because that would be even good to know, because then it's an easy decision. If they wouldn't bid it, then great. What's your overall estimate for this? I mean, you're asking for not to exceed 7, but is that an estimate? Is that your estimate for the deal, or?
No, we have an actual quote. It was attached to the agenda item. As you recall, it was for $75,000. And that indeed included tax, but it didn't include the freight. So I would expect it would be something slightly more than that. I just don't know what the freight number is.
Yeah, in the future, I'd like to at least know if came back, said they're not going to bid it no matter what, then it's kind of a slam dunk, but without knowing that, I don't know. But all right.
Thank you. You're up.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to approve the sole source contract West, which is the West Safety Supply for the 12-inch emergency hose, and not to exceed 700,000, including the freight, the delivery, and the taxes.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. With comments, you've got comments that were made, so you've got that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay, that motion carries 4-1.
I have another question.
Go ahead.
Once we make the payment, when do you expect delivery?
I'm gonna guess 2 to 3 months, we should have that here. So I'm gonna say March, April at the latest. That's about the time, probably April or May is when we will be completed, or my estimate that we'll be completed with the connections for this system. So the purchase of the emergency hose and the capital improvements to the station should come in about the same time later this fiscal year. So we'll definitely be done this fiscal year. And then, what was the other thing I wanted to say? Anyway, that should answer your question.
Sooner the better.
Thank you, Mark. Finally, item 4.
Okay. Okay, this project is, I will be recommending award to responsive and responsible bidder, Sancon Technologies, in the amount of $226,843 for rehabilitating our brick manholes, and approve a 10% contingency in the amount of $11,214,000. That's 8%. I'm sorry. I would like to amend this item to say approve 8% contingency in the amount of $11,214,000. I made a typo there. It should be 8%. Sorry about that. And you'll see on the item on your agenda package, it did say 8% on the right. So I apologize for that confusion, but it is 8% I am asking for. The project work generally consists of rehabilitating 15 of our brick manholes, including adding a cured in place liner. Just as I guess the district started this program back a little bit before my time. And the reason why we're doing the work is that brick manholes, the mortar between the brick tends to disintegrate and get eaten up by acid. And then the bricks start to fall in. And next thing you know, you develop a sinkhole and then the roadway caves in. So we started this program in order to start rehabilitating our manholes. This is the 4th brick manhole rehabilitation project, and bids for this particular set of projects was opened on November 17th. And the bid, we received 2 bids. The high bid was $149,465, and the low bid was $140,176. And the bid register is on our website. The engineer's estimate was $97,000. Now, we asked the vendors why this was a significant increase over a year ago. And basically, we were told that the structural material, which is like fiberglass, it's a woven material that they put in, they cure it with resin, blow it into the manholes. That's gone up significantly. And then there's a couple of the chemicals, I'm not sure what they are, but in the resin itself, that's gone up significantly over the past year. And so that's what they were citing. So unfortunately, the prices are very, very high for this work. So I don't know that we're going to get better prices. There's only 2 folks that can install the type of liners that we're requesting. We got bids from both of them. So we're probably going to get about the same prices or something similar if we were to rebid this. So I recommend going forward with awarding a contract to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, Sancon Technology, in the amount of $226,843 for rehabilitating our brick manholes, and then approve an 8% contingency in the amount of $11,214. $11,214, yes.
You said 220 something? The report says 140,176.
Oh, I'm sorry. I messed up this one altogether. That must have been my, sorry about that. May I amend recommendation number 1 to state award a contract to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, Sancon Technologies, Inc., in the amount of $176,000.
So the 226,843
Is not, is wrong. And then the, I would like to, I'm sorry, I think it would be 8% is about 11,000. So yes, that, I would like to approve a 8% contingency in amount of $11,214.
And the 8%.
That's a correct number. Yeah.
8% of 140.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
all right. Is everybody clear on that? So we're asking for approval of essentially 153,467 total with the contingency, right?
153 is 467.
Okay, questions?
Move for approval.
I'll second it.
Okay. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimous to award to Sancon Technologies in the amount of 140,176 and an 8% contingency of 11,214.
153.
Thanks, Mark.
Good job.
Report, Mr. Davis, anything else to report?
Nothing this evening, Mr. President.
Thank you, sir. Counselor, attorney's report?
We only have our routine remote meetings resolution that we can adopt and make those findings and enjoy it until February 28th, in which it all goes away.
So we have 2 more of these to do essentially.
Yes.
Okay.
Move
Uh,
approval.
Well,
Second.
yes, we do. For
I'll
30 days
second.
each, yeah.
A motion by Uten, second by Perry. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion to approve passes unanimous.
I got a question. again.
Sir.
Okay, in February, what exactly happens again? It goes away, but you can still have remotes.
We would have the law that provides some authority to meet remotely, but you have to have a reason. And it can't just be, you have to be sick yourself, or you have to be on district business, or there has to be a good reason and the quorum must be
Be three.
present.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, sounds
It's
good.
very much more restrictive, and it's not going to allow you
Because-
to just either appear or not appear. depending
Because
on-
I had one meeting a couple of years ago, I was at a golf tournament and I was doing it from the golf course. So that would be out.
But if we are sick, or we have to post it wherever we're sick at, right? We have,
Well, no, that's the other, this law stays in place for a couple of years. And then we revert back to the old teleconference.
where we had
law,
to post.
Where we post in Minnesota or Indiana on the outside of the hotel and
Yeah.
make it available for everybody. So
You
we
had-
have 2 years of something interim, and then we go to the old system.
Okay, so then I
25 at all.
would be okay in 2 years possibly to do it at a golf tournament.
uh,
If you were sick at the golf tournament.
How would you, yeah, I'm not sure how you
I'm
post
not-
it and everything.
Reverting back to 2 years ago. I'm
Well,
just saying.
he would be in, he would have to be in an office.
If you're in the 19th hole, I guess you could.
No, I wouldn't be on the course. I'd be in the,
Yeah.
okay, I'm just curious.
You
It
have to
could
be-
happen.
you
It
have to be
could happen.
stable.
Yeah.
Or have your
I'm not
your
gonna-
entourage.
Because all the
control you.
tournaments are on Mondays, most of them. So that's the reason it could happen. But I just wouldn't be in attendance if that would, and for the next 2 years.
You'd just be absent
I'd
from the
just be
meeting.
absent. But I would know, I would know that ahead of time.
It's interesting. I mean, they're talking about the rise. I mean, they've had some rise in COVID cases because of the holidays and stuff like that. They're still gonna plod along and do what they want to do no matter what. So,
The governor is actually ending the declaration of emergency, so that's what
exactly.
does it. And as you just mentioned, I mean, it's kind of spiking again, so it's kind of, doesn't make a lot of sense right now. Maybe a few months ago, it would have made more sense, but
I
I
agree.
guess the governor can redeclare an emergency or something, but
Sometimes the things the governor doesn't make sense anyway. Right?
I could see that happening in a couple of months if it gets worse. you know.
All right. Did we approve this? We have a motion to,
I made a motion.
I second it.
and we voted on it, didn't we? We were just commenting. Okay, local meetings. Bob, anything from OCSD?
Yeah, the Orange County 10 District had a very large meeting approving the things that the Operations Committee and the Administrative Committee had approved, basically on the consent calendar. They have major research project going on to try to improve the amount of gas they produce from the sludges they treat. That's called a TPAD digester facility. They're also doing significant research to try to improve the potential destruction of the sludges that would be going to the digesters or from the digesters. And it's a large project. It's a $6 million project. Then there's a lot of little things all over the facilities to improve automation or instrumentation and needed repairs to the infrastructure. So it's a very busy, big meeting. And they selected a new general manager. It's Rob Thompson. He was the assistant, one of the two assistant managers. And they had a committee, a committee of 5 that made that recommendation. So, and there was a request to supply Jim with little plaques saying nice things about him or other stuff. That's to be determined how it will be done because we're still remote. We'll still be remote in those times. And I've seen the general manager said he probably doesn't have enough room in his closet for all the plaques he'll get saying nice things about him. So I would hope that the general manager would come in, and I've seen what the general manager has selected for him sometime.
Should we send a letter of recognition for his service?
Well, I think in lieu of that, we're going, well, I guess the general manager shaking his head, yes. But in lieu of that, but no plaque, but it'll even be a bigger item.
When does Rob take over?
I think it's early February that Jim will retire.
What about your board? How much turnover did you have on your board from the elections?
It is significant. There's usually, I forget the exact number, but there are probably 10 alternates and directors. The most notable one was the director of the Operations Committee, Brooke Jones. He did not get reelected. And then it's all over the place. And I don't believe the individual cities and districts are in the process of making those selections for the replacement. And so some cities, it's the mayor's choice, and some of them it'll be the same person for a lot, on and on and on. But so that's still to be determined.
Good. Thank you. SARFA, anything from SARFA, Hart?
No meeting this month.
ISDOC, Arlene, anything to report from ISDOC?
On ISDOC, I was all set to go to it. And we had a conflict because we had a meeting going on the same time. So I chose our meeting to go to and didn't attend.
Just a couple of quick comments since I did attend ISDOC. Nobody will be secretary. There's an opening for a secretary on the executive committee, and there's an opening for third vice president because Brooke Jones was supposed to be third vice president. He wasn't reelected.
Lost.
So what the incoming president has proposed for the secretary is to hire a transcribing service.
Oh,
Unbelievably expensive. I mean,
yes.
unbelievably.
Yeah.
And these guys are all saying, yeah, I guess we're going to have to bite the bullet and do it.
Oh, gee.
You know, so
Did
it
I
didn't go over
cause-
well with several board members.
Did I cause all that?
No, no. Brooke Jones caused all that by being, no. But again, nobody wants to be secretary. Traditionally, what happens at ISDOC is whoever the secretary is, has their staff person from the
Yeah.
district they represent do the minutes.
Yeah.
Do that anymore?
Apparently not. So,
Well, oh, yeah, you're right. That's how they've done it in the past.
so even though they've got money in the, we've had dues, vacations, and I don't think we paid dues for 2 or 3 years. The ISDOC, get ready to get dues again because they got to pay for a transcribing service. And if you've ever used a transcribing service,
No.
you're going to have 15,000 pages of,
Oh,
anyway, so we'll see how that works out.
wow.
Anything from CSDA?
CSDA is just going through, the winding up the year. And we've got our new positions. I'm going to be on the membership again. And I will be on the professional development again. And I'll be on the finance again. And I'll be on Alliance. Because I still have 2 more years. That's it.
Thank you. Special SDRMA, the drama and the circus at SDRMA continues. We are now in the process of hiring a consultant to find a CEO.
Oh,
So the organization, the majority of the board voted to not bring in an interim CEO, which makes absolutely no sense to this member of the SDRMA board. We need somebody there. Anyway, things have been stable, but we're going to spend a ton of money to hire a firm to find us a CEO, which doesn't make a
do
lot
they
of
have a
sense.
purpose though
A purpose?
to have the CEO be?
If there's a purpose, it escapes my
Yeah.
nimble brain.
I mean, they're not moving anymore, just,
Yeah, things are operating and there's no disruption of claims or service. And realistically, the most important thing I think for us is claims. And it's being handled, we use an outside source for that anyway, so I don't anticipate any problems with that. But we have our board meeting coming up the 3rd and the 4th of January, so I'll get more information then. So, okay, other meetings? Anybody?
I attended Waco and it was basically an engineering manager and MWD giving the presentation and he was very thorough. He went through all of the facilities that they have, pipelines, pump stations and reservoirs and hydroelectric generating plants and explained how they're going to make them more resilient, continue to upgrade their infrastructure, and the resiliency to provide the water product to the agencies that they provide. It was a very thorough report.
I thought it was a good report. I mean, so many of those Waco meetings get lost in things I don't understand anyway. They get so technical with some of that stuff. But this guy was pretty good. I thought
Yeah.
made it understandable.
And then WeRock made, the WeRock manager, CEO made a report and continued to update the status of COVID and the cybersecurity issues with the agencies. And it was a very good meeting.
She does a good I'm sure you've had direct contact with her name escapes me from Vicky Osborne. She does a really good job, I think,
yes,
with
she's
WeRock.
excellent.
Better. Do we have to let WeRock know that we're buying this this hose?
Only,
Just for let them know. That's what I was thinking. That would be a good idea.
Any other meetings? All right. No old business, no new business. So we'll move to item L or section L, oral communications and director comments. Any directors?
Just Merry Christmas to everybody, Happy New Year, and hope you get what you want.
As long as I'm breathing, I'm okay.
Anybody else? All right, just happy holidays, Merry
Oh, I wanted to
Christmas.
make
and
my
everything.
comment.
Go ahead.
I read the investment report and I thought whoever wrote it did an outstanding job of explaining our issues with 1383 in particular and the potential Eldon force main replacement and others. I read that report several times and the agency is to be complimented on the thoroughness of that report, staff in particular. And I forget what else I was going to say, but I learn a lot by reading that report. It reminds me of things that I should know.
Uh-oh. That could be dangerous. Again, just happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, joyous Kwanzaa, whatever else you celebrate, everybody. I hope it's a peaceful season for everybody. Thank you for the board's confidence and thank you for the confidence in re-electing me president or electing me president rather. All the best to staff. Enjoy your vacation. And then finally, I got a postcard the other day from Mesa Water. I think we may have all gotten a postcard from
Yes.
Mesa Water.
I did not.
No, they don't, you're off, you're on
Yeah.
the list. About, they're having two, I forget what they call it. Somebody help me.
Water issues?
Water issues. Oh, you got it. Okay.
Yeah, no,
Is that something we could look at as we get closer to 1383 and doing some? Okay, so I think that would be a good way to get a lot of that education stuff that we've talked about across. Okay. Good.
I've attended that meeting a couple times and I learned a lot about Mesa Water.
They do a good job with this.
Yeah.
Okay, if there's nothing else, then I will adjourn us to our January
And thank you for my,
11th. Yeah,
my new role. Thank you.
congratulations. So I'll adjourn us to our January 10th study session. All right, thank you all.
You get to sign these.
No, you do.
Oh, because